Climate activist Greta Thunberg and her Fridays for Future movement received an award from Amnesty International. The Ambassador of Conscience 2019 award was presented to her alongside other school strikers in Washington, D.C. In an acceptance speech, Thunberg dedicated the award to all the people who made the movement Fridays for Future possible. The Fridays for Future movement was started by the Swedish teenager who last year began skipping school to protest outside the Swedish parliament. The fight against wildfires in Brazil's Amazon rages on. The firefighters continue to work day and night to combat blazes. The number of fires in Brazil have skyrocketed by almost 80% in the year to date compared to the same period in 2018. Some of those wildfires that are currently ravaging the Amazon have been set on purpose to clear land for agricultural use. Brazil President Bolsonaro's anti-environment policies are also to blame for the fires. Large wildfire is raging on the Greek island. A number of residents have been evacuated from nearby villages. Over 100 firefighters and 28 vehicles have been battling the blaze. Helicopters and planes carrying water also arrived on the scene. Greece often faces wildfires during its dry summer months, but the recent fires are seen as an effect of climate change. A 5-magnitude earthquake hit a northwestern city in China's Gansu province. No casualties have yet been reported as people felt strong tremors. Many people were also seen running out of their homes. The earthquake also caused some courtyard walls to collapse. Local authorities have sent 13 vehicles and 84 firefighters to quake-hit areas. Hurricane Humberto is expected to bring more rainfall on the storm-ravaged northwestern Bahamas as it crawls away from the U.S. coast, expected to bring life-threatening waves and tides to parts of central Florida and North Carolina coast for the next few days. Storm is currently moving towards Bermuda, where it is expected to bring heavy rains by late Wednesday. Humberto is forecast to gain strength and get faster over the next 2 days. Rescue workers and volunteers have saved 6 of the 7 orcas that became stranded on the Argentine beach. 7 killer whales or orcas had beached themselves in the town of Mar Chiquita. 6 of them were pulled back to the sea while 1 died during the operation. Mar Chiquita's tourism secretary said it was unsure as why the orcas beached themselves as they did not even appear to be ill. However, the authorities plan an autopsy on the orca that died. Thai wildlife officials say that more than half of the tigers rescued 3 years ago from a Buddhist temple have died of disease. The officials said the tigers were vulnerable to illness because of inbreeding, leading to different diseases and also breathing failure. Thai officials, however, said that they will continue to care for the remaining animals despite the health issues they currently face. The cubs served as a popular tourist attraction at the temple and were taken into the sanctuary after a police raid in 2016. Finnish environmental authorities have begun a project to trawl the Baltic Sea and remove abandoned fishing nets known as ghost nets. These nets continue to trap fish and other wildlife. Remember, plastic fishing equipment disintegrates extremely slowly in the sea. The UN's food body claims that these ghost nets constitute 1/10 of all plastic waste in the world seas. Asylum seekers in Mexico headed to the United States border for the case hearing at a new Texas tent court set up near the international frontier between the two countries. The tent courts are located in Laredo and Brownsville in Texas. Officials say they will help clear a backlog of asylum seekers. U.S. Customs and Border Protection estimate that some 42,000 migrants had been sent to Mexico through early September to wait for their applications to be processed. Surge in migrants at the U.S. southern border, combined with a need for legal and logistical arrangements in numbered courts, have put a strain on facilities in the United States. Supporters of U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren gathered in the Washington Square Park in New York ahead of a campaign rally. This when Warren won the endorsement of the Working Families Party, a progressive group with a growing political influence that previously backed U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders during his 2016 White House bid. Warren got nearly 61% of members' vote, while Sanders drew almost 36% support. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was booed at while he attended a meeting with his Luxembourg counterpart Xavier Bettel on Monday. The two leaders discussed the play of Brexit in the meeting. The anti-Brexit protesters shouted, "Shame on you, Johnson." Affected by the chanting, Johnson decided to skip the post-meeting joint press conference, leaving Bettel alone on the podium. Johnson later said there was a lot of noise which could have overshadowed the press conference. Protests by Venezuelan teachers grew violent when shots were fired during the event. The Venezuelan teachers were assembled in front of the country's education ministry to demand higher wages. According to local media, shots were fired at the protest by people driving by on motorcycles. A group of counter-protesters also confronted the teachers, with clashes breaking out between the two groups. Thousands of French lawyers, doctors, nurses, pilots and others took to the streets of Paris to protest planned pension changes by the government. Monday's demonstrations gathered people working on the private sector, with professions regulated by the state who currently benefit from a special pension regime. French government wants to apply the same rules to all new retirees in order to replace the 42 different retirement systems linked to certain jobs. Protesters, however, have feared that changes will make them pay more taxes or work longer to get their pensions. Demonstrators burned tires and barricaded streets in Haiti's capital, protesting against the lack of gasoline supplies in the country. The protesters demanded the government to take action to end the situation. Gasoline supplies have been scarce for over 3 weeks, causing major headaches for commuters and workers who use public transportation. Fuel suppliers have refused to deliver refined petroleum products until they receive past due to payments. The fuel supply has become acute since Venezuela ended its program last year, which provided subsidized fuel supplies to Caribbean nations. Hong Kong is singing to a new tune, and some call it an anthem for the summer of protest. Glory to Hong Kong can be heard at football matches, shopping centres, and it has become a hit online. The video has over 1 million views till now. The song is a stirring melody with the lyrics yearning for freedom and democracy. The song has managed to bring together crowds with an uplifting effect. At a recent football match, Hong Kong fans sang their hearts out with Glory to Hong Kong and booed the Chinese national anthem. The song is also a challenge since Hong Kong's national anthem is the Chinese national anthem. Beijing completed the second joint rehearsal for the upcoming National Day celebrations on Monday. The rehearsals were started on Saturday afternoon at areas around the Tiananmen Square and along the Chang'an Avenue. About 280,000 people were involved in the rehearsal and related supporting services. The rehearsals were about 2 weeks ahead of the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China on October 1st. The government of Solomon Islands has cut its official ties with Taiwan. The move came after the Solomon Islands' months-long review of the pros and cons of a switch to Beijing, which was offering $8.5 million in development funds to cut its ties with Taiwan. Solomon Island had long been Taiwan's largest ally in the Pacific region. The announcement comes as a new blow to President Tsai Ing-wen of Taiwan, who is seeking re-election in January and leaves Taiwan having diplomatic relations with only 16 countries now. The Prime Minister of Fiji has met his Australian counterpart Scott Morrison in Canberra on Monday. Now, in fact, on his first official visit as Prime Minister, he was given a ceremonial welcome at the Australian Parliament. Fijian Prime Minister said that he was not afraid to speak his mind about the differences between the two neighbours. During the meeting, both leaders discussed issues of mutual importance and signed agreements to strengthen security and economic ties. The leader of South Korea's main opposition party shaved his head in Seoul to show dissent over South Korean President Moon Jae-in and Justice Minister Cho Kuk. Wang Kyo-wan, leader of the Liberty Korea Party, had his head shaved in front of the South Korean presidential office to demand resignation from Cho. He also targeted President Moon Jae-in, saying he was abusing his power by choosing a criminal as a justice minister. Cho was sworn in as a minister despite his alleged involvement in a family corruption scandal. The allegations have caused a public outcry in the country. Mexico recently celebrated its 209th anniversary of the independence from Spain with a military parade. Thousands of locals gathered in Mexico City to watch the parade, which reportedly stretched on for 8 kilometers. Over 12,000 military elements participated in the parade, headed by the National Guard. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador attended the event as his troops, including top military commanders, performed during his first Independence Day celebrations as president. A huge celebration party was held, showcasing food, music and traditions from all over Mexico.
La puerta principal de Palacio Nacional.
Una valla de cadetes, el